Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Mr. and my ID number is SIT2070271. Without further ado, let's move to the question 1. The first ratio that we calculated is current ratio. The formula is current asset over current liability, and the answer is 3.812 times, while industry average is 2.5 times. This shows that the ceremonial current ratio is higher than industry average. The next ratio is inventory turnover ratio. The formula is COGS divided by average or closing inventory and resulted as 2.657 times, while average industry is 4.5 times. This shows that Serimaru inventory turnover is lower than industry average. The next ratio is average collection period. The formula is account receivable divided by credit sales over 360, and the answer is 102 days, which is higher than average industry. The next ratio is non-current asset turnover. The formula is sales over net non-current asset, and the answer is 5.36 times, while industry average is 4.1 times. This shows that Serimaru has higher non-current asset turnover. The next ratio is total asset turnover. The formula is sales over total asset and resulted as 1.337 times, which lowered industry average at 2.5 times. The next ratio is debt ratio. Formula of debt ratio is total debt over total assets and resulted as 29.1%. The industry average is 22%, which shows that Serimaru debt ratio are higher. The next ratio is time interest earned. The formula is EBIT over interest expense. The answer is 14 times, while industry average is 9.6 times. This shows that Serimaru has higher time interest earned than industry average. Next is net profit margin. The formula is net income available to common stockholder divided by sales and resulted as 9.4%, which is lower than industry average at 10%. Next ratio is return on assets. The formula is net income available to common stockholder over total assets. The answer is 12.6%, while industry average is 15%. This shows that Serimaru return on assets are lower than industry average. The last ratio is return on equity. The formula is net income available to common stockholder divided by common equity and resulted as 17.8%, which lower than industry average at 19.23%. Next, we move on to question 1-2. This is the overall summarization for firm's liquidity, leverage, profitability, and asset management ratios. For the liquidity, it can be summed that it is better than industry average. The ratio that calculated is current ratio, and it is resulted as 3.812 times and better 1.312 times than industry average, which is 2.5 times. Next is leverage. It shows that Serimaru have higher percentage of debt ratio, which is 29.1%, while industry average is at 22%. This shows that Serimaru has higher debt than most of other competitors. Fortunately, Serimaru are able to pay interest charge more times, which is at 14 times, while industry average is at 9.6 times. Next, we move on to profitability. In terms of profitability ratio, the calculated ratios are net profit margin, return on assets, and return on equity. Every single profitability ratio calculated results in lower industry average. This shows that Serimaru had gained lower profits than other competitors. And for the last one is asset management. The ratios that calculated in asset management ratios are inventory turnover ratio, average collection period, total assets turnover, and non-current assets turnover. After calculation were made, it shows that Serimaru has lower inventory turnover than industry average. Serimaru also takes longer time to collect money from their account receivable. Calculation of total asset turnover shows that Serimaru generate lower sales in using their total assets compared to their competitors. Fortunately, Serimaru are able to generate higher sales using their non-current assets. So now we move to question 1-3, which possible reasons for the weaknesses of Serimaru The first weakness is inventory turnover ratio. This may due to firm not selling enough that resulted inventory stayed in the shelf or store for longer time. And the next weakness is average collection period. The slow payment from customer that made firm had to wait longer to receive money. Next is total asset turnover. This may due to firm may not fully utilize their assets, which means firm not fully generating sales from its assets. Next is debt ratio. This is due to the difficulty in paying off debt. This shows that firm struggles to pay off debt. And the last weakness is net profit margin. This may due to high expenses of the firm, for example, operating costs and material costs. Okay, so the last part for question 1 is appropriate actions that can be taken to improve shareholders' wealth. The first one is focusing on increased long-term profitability. By improving operation efficiency, reducing operation costs, and increasing sales, firm will be able to increase their profitability. This will lead to higher earnings and increase in shareholders' wealth. The next one is make strategic investment. By making smart investments and align with the firm goals, it will create potential for firm growth and firm will be able to generate high investment returns. And the last one is make continuous innovation to the firm. This will show that the firm stay ahead of market trends and will lead to firm growth and able to generate higher profits. Firm will be able to differentiate themselves from others by improving products, services, and operations.
Assalamualaikum, and my name is Nobatrisha. Today I would like to present about question 2. As you can see, there is the bar chart about trend of revenue Samsung over the last 3 years. Samsung, a multinational conglomerate company, has experienced significant growth in its revenue over the last 3 years. Samsung revealed that their entire revenue in 2020 was close to 200 million. Numerous variables, including as the COVID-19 pandemic, which causes supply chains delay and decreased consumer spending in specific product categories, had an effect on the company's sales. Samsung was able to hold a dominant position in the industry because of its wide range of goods and services. By the year 2021, Samsung's revenue has increased significantly. In comparison to the prior year, the company's total revenue for the year increased significantly to approximately 244 million. Numerous variables, including the strengthening of consumer demand, the company's successful product introduction, and the growth of its semiconductor sector, are responsible for this increase. Samsung's sales for the third quarter of 2022 were roughly 234 million. The prolonged worldwide chip scarcity, hiccups in the supply chains, and heightened competition in the semiconductor industry are all responsible for this fall. Samsung Mobile Division launched a new product like the Galaxy Z Flip 4 and the Galaxy Watch 5 series, and it's performed successfully in spite of these obstacles. Next, we move to the net income. The COVID-19 pandemic of 2020 has a major effect on Samsung net income because of its disruptions of global supply network and influence on consumer demand. For the year, the corporation declared a net income of almost 19 million. Samsung overcome these obstacles to continue being the largest memory chip manufacturer in the world, with robust sales in its semiconductor division. Samsung's net revenue increased in 2021 as the world economy began to recover from the ravages of the pandemic, driven by rising demand for memory chips and other components used in smartphone, data center, and other gadgets. The company's semiconductor division continued to do well. Samsung's business sector saw robust performance, resulting in a net income of around 43 million in 2021. As the world economy continued to recover from the pandemic, Samsung's net income increased in 2022. Strong demand for memory chips and other components keep the company's semiconductor division a key growth engine. The success of Samsung's flagship Galaxy smartphone contributed to a surge in sales for the company mobile division as well. For the year, the corporation declared a net income of almost 46 million. Next is expenses. The COVID-19 pandemic has an impact on Samsung's 2020 cost and distribute supply chains and the demand for a variety of items. The business has to make investment to guarantee the safety of its workers, in addition to facing difficulties in sustaining its production level. Samsung also upped its research and development (R&D) spending in order to maintain its competitiveness in the quickly changing technological industry. As we go forward to 2021, supply chains and consumer demand were impacted by the global pandemic, which presented Samsung with additional hurdles in the smartphone market. Additionally, the business was under more regulatory attention, especially in the European Union, where antitrust investigations were being conducted. In 2021, Samsung's operation expenses increased even more as a result of these difficulties. The ongoing COVID-19 pandemic in 2022 affects Samsung costs because it keeps affecting global supply network and the demand for the different products. In order to be competitive in the technology industry, the company continued to engage in R&D while simultaneously adhering to its commitment to upholding employee safety and production level. Samsung also concentrates on growing its market share and stepping up initiatives to lessen its environmental impact. Next, we move to the factor that contribute significant changes in financial metrics. For the first factor is market competition and industry trend. Samsung financial indicators have been significantly impacted by the competitive environment in the technology sector. The business competes fiercely in sectors like semiconductor production, consumer electronics, and smartphone. Samsung financial performance has been significantly impacted by changes in the market dynamic, such as the entry of the new competitor, movement in customer tastes, and developments in technology. For example, Samsung market share and profitability in the smartphone segment have been impacted by the heightened competition from Chinese smartphone manufacturers. Next, we move to the macroeconomic factor. Furthermore, macroeconomic variables like exchange rate and world economic conditions have a significant impact on Samsung financial performance, since a sizable amount of Samsung income comes from overseas markets. Fluctuations in currency exchange rates may have an impact on the company earnings. Consumer purchasing patterns can be influenced by economic downturns or periods of growth in important countries, which might affect Samsung's sales and financial metrics. For the third one is product innovation and R&D investment. Samsung has made investment in R&D and production innovation, which have an impact on its financial indicators. The company's capacity to launch cutting-edge goods and technology has been a major factor in success financially. Through R&D investment, Samsung has been able to create innovative goods like sophisticated semiconductor chips and high-end smartphones, which have increased sales and enhanced financial indicators. For the last one is supply chain disruption. Samsung is not an exception when it comes to the direct impact that supply chain disruption can have on financial indicators. Natural catastrophes, trade conflict, or logistical difficulties are examples of events that can interrupt the supply of essential parts of complex goods, causing delay in production and higher expenses. Such hiccups in the supply chains may have an impact on Samsung earning profitability and bottom line.
Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to everyone. My name is Nurul Ankisina binti Abdul Malik Faisal. My ID number is SIT 22070290. So today I would like to explain my part in this assignment, which is question 3. So the first question is to determine whether the performance of the firm is improving or deteriorating. It is crucial for the financial manager to undertake both trend analysis and interval comparison. Explain the distinctions between these two analyses. So trend analysis is a technique in technical analysis that aims to forecast future move in stock price. Trend analysis forecasts the long-term direction of market sentiment by utilizing previous data such as price fluctuations and transaction volume. Trend analysis also offers traders and investors a better knowledge of the variable influencing data pattern, enabling them to make more confident and well-informed investment decisions. So next is I will show the historical trend analysis of Samsung Malaysia revenue for the year 2022, 2021 and 2020. As shown in the bar chart below, in year 2020, Samsung managed to make revenue roughly 200 million USD. The next year, which is 2021, Samsung makes more than previous year, which is roughly 244 million USD. This shows there is an increase in revenue from year 2020 to 2021. Unfortunately, in year 2020, Samsung revenue decreased to roughly 234 million USD. Next is historical trend analysis of Samsung for the year 2022, 2021 and 2020. As shown in the bar chart below, in year 2020, Samsung acquired total assets that are valued at roughly 320 million USD. In year 2021, total assets of Samsung increased to roughly 373 million USD. This shows there is a growth in total asset of Samsung. Lastly, in year 2022, Samsung total asset drops to 347 million USD. So next I will speak about interval comparison. Interval comparison is when two or more comparable business units are compared. The goal is to determine which has the competitive advantage that will increase the profitability and productivity of those business units. So, by enabling organizations to evaluate their performance, strategy, and practices against those of comparable enterprise in the industry, interval comparison, also known as benchmarking, offer businesses significant insight and benefit by making it easier to identify best practice. So this method improve operational performance and efficiency. So I would like to show the interval analysis between Samsung and also Xiaomi for the year 2022, 2021 and 2020. So as shown in the bar chart below, the revenue of Samsung roughly in year 2020 is more 185.7 million USD than Xiaomi. This great performance was continued by Samsung in 2021, which is generate roughly more 221.1 million USD than Xiaomi. So in the year 2022, Samsung keep on exceeding Xiaomi revenue by roughly 214.1 million USD. Next is the interval analysis between Samsung and Xiaomi total asset for the year 2022, 2021 and 2020. So in the bar chart below, in year 2020, total asset of Samsung are roughly 292.3 million USD than Xiaomi. So this great performance was continued by Samsung in 2021, which they generate roughly more 331.7 million USD than Xiaomi. So in the year 2022, Samsung keep on exceeding Xiaomi revenue by roughly 3,000 by 306.1 million USD. So next is for the question 2, which is ratio analysis is said to provide useful information concerning a company operations and financial condition. However, it has several potential problems that require care and judgment. Explain some inherent problems and question of ratio analysis using example. So the first is the historical data limitation. So utilization of data analysis is depend on past financial data, which might not precisely define in the present state of corporation. For example, if a company underwent a significant strategic shift or experience a sudden change in market conditions after the last financial statement, the ratio may not capture this development. So the second one is noting industry differences. Is comparing ratio between different sectors can be difficult because the different industry have distinct norms and standards. Different industry can cause to a high debts to equity ratio may be normal for capital-intensive industry like manufacturing, but could be considered risky for service-oriented businesses. The third one is seasonal variation. Seasonal influence are some things that an analyst should be aware of since they may lead to restrictions in ratio analysis. False interpretations of the analysis finding could arise from the ratio analysis incapacity to account from the seasonality effect. For example, retail companies often experience higher inventory turnover during holiday season, leading to variation in the overall turnover ratio. The fourth one is change in accounting policy. In this instance, the important financial measures used in ratio analysis are changed, and the financial result report following the modifications are not interchangeable with those reported prior to the modifications. It is the analyst's responsibility to stay current on modification to accounting policy. The notes to the financial statement section usually contain the change that have been made. And lastly, inflation effect. There are time interval between the periodic releases of financial statement because they are released in different time. The financial accounts do not represent real value if inflation has taken place in between period. As a result, until the data are adjusted for inflation, they cannot be compared across different time period, and the historical cost of asset may not reflect their current market value. That will be leading inaccurate asset turnover ratio. So I think that's all for me. Thank you.